Hello everyone, welcome to SGIFF's question and answer session with Not My Mother's Baking, director Remi M, Sali, and co-writer and executive producer Ho Pak Kin. My name is Fiza Mazdan and I will be moderating today's conversation. So firstly, hello Remi, hello Pak Kin, how are you doing today?
Hello,
Yes.
hello.
Yeah, we're still buzzed from the world premiere from Saturday. Yeah, so yeah, all's good. Yeah.
Do you manage to catch the world premiere? Do you manage to be there at the screening?
Yes.
Yes.
We were at the screening. Of course, we were. I was actually feeling very paranoid over what kind of reaction we could get from the audience. Yeah, whether our jokes would work. The comic timing would be taken as such. Yeah, so yeah, it was a very nerve-wracking actually. Yeah, just at the point of being to go into the cinema together with the audience, not knowing what exactly to get right at the end of the movie.
Yes, and I think there were a lot of laughter, and in places that we didn't expect people to laugh, which was good. Yeah, and also strange to notice that there were parts where it was laughter from the back. I think the Chinese were sitting more at the back, and then there's some parts where it's Malay, because the jokes actually is Malay, and so in front, and then some parts is all of us were laughing as Singaporeans lah. So I think it's good to see that essentially the movie had a broad appeal.
Yes, and we'd like to actually emphasize as well. Okay, while the laughters we were actually somewhat anticipating, but we were not anticipating the tears. Actually.
Yes.
So we had tender moments. Where it was actually placed, near to the end of the movie, and we got a lot of feedback saying that a lot of our audience, teared. So there was
mother and son, and of course later the
Yeah.
final scene before the wedding was the mother-daughter. Yes.
Yeah. So that was pretty great. That's something which we will cherish. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really moving. I want to say that, coming from an interracial marriage myself, I feel so relatable. Yeah. So my husband is also a revert or convert, whichever, word you use. And so, navigating through the halal and haram, what can say, what cannot say, that was like, it hits home. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Good to hear.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of segues into my first question, actually. So, in a way, the collaboration between you two is also an interracial marriage of sort. And I understand, Pak Kin, that you also, you also kind of built the story together with Remi. So, share with us, what does this work means to you, and were there any challenges in kind of building the story together?
Sure. The one thing which I have always loved to share was that it's supposed to actually be a simpler story actually. Yeah, it was supposed to actually be just Chef Siti and Chef Sarah's so-called tense or this tense dynamics between the mother and daughter, and that and it's just made a bit more complicated when she got interested in in a Chinese man to be her partner. So and the main thing was that it was supposed to actually be just the wedding aspects of it, how the clash is supposed to be, in getting married. But then this guy, just wanted to make things more difficult.
I know. I was thinking, what is it for the Chinese side then? Just there's a Malay story, that at the end you just have a multicultural wedding and then that's it. Yeah. So we started adding more to the Chinese family story. Yeah. And then we added the roast pork element. I thought that would be quite interesting to add that. Why not? And then essentially the story developed from there. Yeah. So it became a lot more multidimensional. And then also we added the Mandarin dialogue. And decided, well, why don't we have the story told from the Chinese perspective, having the Mandarin voiceover? Yeah. So it became.
It took a life on its own.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
along the way. But we also must emphasize that when we actually shared the story with our cast and crew, everybody got concerned. It's like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure we can actually say this line or so? Or are you sure we can actually even pull this scene off? some scenes, that would potentially be very almost so-called damaging to us as filmmakers. Yeah. Yes. So that was something which which we took into our concerns lah. When we actually doing this movie.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we had the script, but of course, Remi directs with rather organic script. Yes, and of course, we had to start filming 3 weeks before its schedule. So there's no rehearsal. And the very first day, we had 8 of the 11 cast members essentially, together, with Zach and Benjamin Zainer flying in from Dubai, and Lee Mei Feng flying in from Malaysia. And so they essentially, okay, here it is, cameras are rolling, just go for it. And then essentially the dialogue became naughtier and naughtier and naughtier. And then it was much naughtier than anticipated. Yeah. And they keep saying, can we say this or not? I said, okay, go for it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, and it was a blessing that the movie was passed clean by the censors with NC-16. Yes, so yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing about that. I mean, yeah, when at some point I was like watching it, I was like, wow, okay, I guess this is not for the Surya audience, This is not. So that
definitely not. Definitely not. Yeah.
So I guess you have I guess no plans to pitch this to the local TV stations. Yeah.
Yeah, because we felt that this is a potentially a very, very sensitive and provocative storyline. Yeah, but of course we would love to actually show it to as many Singaporeans as possible, because this is something that we want to actually have to start open discussion about things that have actually been otherwise swept under the carpet. Yeah, so we've just recently also got there's this feedback, from a lot of people, who came after watching the premiere, that they were very worried about the pork eating character that we have.
They didn't come up to me, they went up to Remi.
Come to me, actually say like, hey, you know what, this is really very sensitive, you may get into trouble because of this. So what are you going to do about it, everything like that. So hint, we should censor it lah, but we're not going to.
No,
so
I thought that was a very nice, a very well added layer, especially in the conversation of, all these kind of almost stock characters and your rom-com dilemmas, familiar and familial issues, and then you have all these subversive characters, secondary characters, which I thought kind of was a nice counterpoint to these rom-com ideas, a rom-com film that you have on the surface. So tell us maybe a bit more on that, Remi, since we're on that topic. Why did you choose this character, and what are you trying to kind of share with us or make us think?
Sure.
Martin, right?
Okay. This movie is actually means more than than what it's touted to be. Yeah, because we have to actually give credit to Chef Siti and Chef Sarah, because they were the ones who actually shared their struggles right at the very beginning of how them as hijabi women find it more difficult to actually be given roles or given social social media exposure, because they were wearing hijab. In other words, it seems like their value is actually been less just because of because they wear hijab. So that gives us the motivation and drive to create something with them, to actually show that that they can actually lead a movie.
Correct. With the lead cast.
Yes. So that's what started it all. And from there, then we actually expanded on the this theme of halal and haram. What it takes to actually be a halal aspect in terms of not just in terms of the food, but in terms of the wear, like the hijab, okay, and then in terms of the way they speak, and of course and in terms of the interactions. So what we actually wanted to actually also portray are the different kinds of Malay men. So we have the good Muslim, which is shown by Imran, who's actually been chasing Chef Sarah from right from the get-go. So we also have the I would say that the born again, so the revert, Edwin, who eventually gets to be married to Chef Sarah, and the most controversial part is the bad Muslim. The so-called the Muslim who's actually been born by name but not by practice. So that is where Martin's character is the one that, who actually so-called represents that personal type of a Muslim, if you would actually just put it that way. We all exist in in whatever spectrum. So and that's the thing that we want to actually portray, and that sometimes can be very difficult for a Malay Muslim person to handle. And we must emphasize again that with Martin's character, even though he actually proudly says about the delicious part, he always covers up by saying, "Oh yeah, my Chinese friend, here's it. Okay, that's one." Another part as well, he also defends himself by saying that what he actually chooses is between him and the creator, yes. And but then we added in one particular scene which I personally find is very, very telling, where there's a roast pork, of a huge roast pork.
I purposely ordered it from the local roast pork store.
And then and Martin's character actually just about to touch it, and then we have two makciks come in and proclaim the shock seeing the roasted and all that. And Martin quickly backs away, and after which then and not try to have any association with the pork. So what we want to say is Martin's character is not someone who will blatantly shove it down somebody's so he will not chew let's say dried pork thingy right in front of makcik or anything like that. He does it in his own in his own space.
And I think they were also concerned that the Chinese family, Mr. Tan, was offering it, offered the roast pork to Martin, who is of course Malay. And the thing is that they're not essentially going to offer it to any Malay that walks up to the store and can I buy some roast pork to you?
They're not selling it.
They're not selling it because it is a very close friend of their son. So it's just an extension of the relationship, which is the son's friendship, Edwin's friendship with Martin. So we felt okay, that's okay. Because they are sensitive too, because in the conversation they did say, they're selling roast pork, they're aware of it, and the neighbors essentially next door, when Edwin was young, did not allow essentially
for Edwin to
play with the kids. And this was something that I think Remi experienced when you were younger. So essentially it went into the story.
Oh, and also another thing that we want to actually emphasize again, while we're being very defensive. No, seriously. No, but we are very but we must emphasize we in no way no scene at all that we show Martin eating the pork or even have any semblance of the meat being eaten. So that is something which we make sure of.
And we were very careful that none of the Malay Muslim cast and crew touch roast pork or anywhere near it. I handle every single piece of the roast pork, and it's just a Chinese cast that handled it. And even I know at one scene, Edwin was in the store, very, very clean, and someone actually commented, why is so clean when he's actually selling roast pork? Because he had the scene afterwards with Sarah. So we didn't want him to be touching any of the pork to ensure that this is
we preserve the sanctity of our restaurants.
But
you keep the halal police. You keep the halal police at bay. Thank you very much. But I guess then the most moving scene for me, since we're talking about pork and it's all its byproducts. The most important scene for me was actually when Edwin Tan, right? Edwin hugged his mother and his mom said, "No, don't hug me because I reek of pork." That got me. It was really about thinking about what as a convert or revert, what you lose being away, because there's this idea of masuk Melayu or become a Malay person or masuk Islam, and then you kind of disregard everything that is non-Islamic in that sense, and even your culture and how you grew up. For me, that was like, because that was also the negotiation that my husband had to make, in terms of, was because my husband's Mexican, tequila is a big part of the family tradition. And how do I say goodbye to tequila? I mean, in this sense, how do I say goodbye to growing up with certain food and certain kind of traditions, right? So yeah, I mean, a lot of negotiations there. Hit home really hard there.
Oh, wow, thank you.
Thank you. I mean, we wanted that. I think that scene to say that you don't lose your family because you've converted to a different religion. Yeah, that's the thing, and that's really important. And that Edwin can be Muslim, but the family is still Taoist. Yes, but there's still mother and son.
Actually, I want to expand on that. It is the movie is also about touch. What is really it's about touch kind of thing. And there's one part where I personally feel like it's also have a very significant relevance. Is when during the tea wedding ceremony, Chef Sarah actually extended her hand to kiss the mother-in-law, knowing fully well that she has actually handled pork and everything like that, and she didn't go for sotu and anything. So that is something which is that for me is particularly strong. That it is not something that that is something repulsive, even something that that she's like the high and mighty, and not even wanting to acknowledge the value of her mother-in-law. And another part also is when Chef Siti even hugged the potential mother-in-law of that side during the first meet, and that is how we break that so-called that divide in that sense.
I realize as we're speaking, we should have given like a trigger warning. Might have spoiler alerts,
Oh yeah.
But you know what?
It's okay.
You know what? We just had a review saying that there's no our movie is pretty straightforward. From the beginning to the end, it's very easy to follow. Yes, and we totally agree.
Yeah, and they started at the end, started at the beginning because started with the wedding scene, so it's okay. They know about the story at the beginning, so it's fine.
So it is. We want to actually make it accessible. To all to our potential audience out there, because it is not meant to actually be something that we want to actually hold back. It's something that we want to actually just raise up. And I was pretty touched when at the end of the world premiere screening, people did come to me to actually express their concerns as well, and that is something which I said, yes, okay, at least we did something that of what the movie was meant to be.
Correct. I mean, to generate conversation, to start people thinking about all these issues. I think for so long in Singapore we've swept all this under the carpet, and none of this essentially is spoken, and especially in local films, so that's not portrayed. So and we realize, okay, have we gone far enough, or have we not got far enough? So if there's no reaction, if people don't come out and say, I don't like that, you did something, then essentially it's okay, we've not done enough. So we're quite glad they did come up. Well, to Remi, not to me, but to say,
oh no, the naughty Muslim. How dare me do something like this?
No, I'm not. But also there are some of the audience in the world premiere came up to me and said, there's some Mandarin conversation that was lost in translation in terms of the English subtitling. And they say, I think you should add Mandarin subtitle. But some of the Malay jokes, that's one, I think we will not, that's a spoiler to say it. That one, how do you essentially have a Mandarin subtitle for that, or even have an English subtitle for that? So, and I realized also there is one scene, the wedding banquet, wedding planner scene, and then they were the Chinese family was flipping through the Alamak, and then Sex Aina, of course, the Malay family, the father was talking. So there was a bit of the Chinese will understand what the Mandarin Chinese was speaking, and then the Malay will understand. And that's what we tend to do in Singapore sometimes. We don't want the other race to hear we speak our own language, you see. And the sort of that dynamics, I think, is captured, which is quite nice.
And I also think that in a way, I mean, that's what you say, right? Because we do have our own private circles where we speak in our own language. But at the same time, I feel there are certain things that is untranslatable. Like some jokes between my husband and I, we try to translate to each other in whichever language. You go like, Not quite, but this is it, you know, and I think it's okay sometimes to not know, because, you know, you don't have all the history of language or culture to be at the point where you could understand everything fully, you know.
That's right, and it'll be great to know that, you know, you go to the cinema and watch it and say, and you can ask your Chinese friend, hey, what did he say? Or the Malay friend, what did he say? And that's the beauty of it, to bring us together. We're all Singaporeans, despite having different, being different race, language, and religion. And that is essentially what we want to essentially show, like in the movie.
Showcase, lah.
Correct.
Okay, so, you know, yay, Singaporean, yay.
Yay!
Unabashedly, unreservedly, you know, Singaporean movie, yes.
But then, you know, at the same time, I see that you're also opening in other film festivals. So I guess it brings me to my last question, because I realize that we're kind of running out of time. In a way, what do you hope? What impact do you hope for your local and international audience? And also, you know, just now, Pak Kin, you're saying, you know, it's time to begin having these difficult conversations. And how do you propose people begin having these conversations after watching this film?
Okay, can I start first? For us, what we actually, like, you know, very concerned about is to actually showcase you know, themes of race, language, and religion. That's always been our underlying theme, you know, of our works. And you know, and right from the start, Pak Kin actually shared that, you know, it is meant for an international audience as well. So that is why we also have you know, the narration, you know, to actually, like, you know, explain some points that may otherwise be lost.
Lost in translation. For international audience.
So, and that is where we also want to actually, like, you know, be a bit more mindful of how we tell the story, and what you know, what is you know, could actually be said, or what could actually be left out. And that's actually been one of the challenges that we had, you know, when you know, when cutting, and of course, you know, when producing this particular movie. But I hope, you know, that what is actually out there, the presentation, is something that the audience could actually, like, you know, savor. And of course, hopefully, you know, start discussion not within us, but among their friends and family and even peers.
Yes, correct. And I mean, I think the last election, it did come out that actually younger Singaporeans want a lot more dialogue regarding race, language, and religion. And that, I think it's about time. It's really about time that we don't just keep quiet about these things, and that we have a laugh at ourselves. And we be open about it, and let's discuss it with your friends and family, and about, you know, essentially what matters to us, and what we are as Singaporeans.
Great.
Thank you so much for.
Thank you.
You know, it's been so generous, and enthusiasm is so contagious. I can feel it all the way at Rowell Road. Thank you so much. And the 31st edition of SGIFF runs from now till 6 December, both in cinemas and online, and so don't miss it. And thank you again for joining us in this conversation, Pak Kin and Remi. And thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to facilitate this conversation. And I guess till next time.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.